The gunshot pierced through their ears. Wine, the girl they called the blonde angel, the girl whom Jungkook loved, the girl wanted by everyone present there. She screamed, yet she didn't feel the pain. The one who held her wrist was on the floor, cold dead in his own pool of blood. A kind of sight she would be horrified to see, but it didn't affect her at all. That's where Jungkook knew they all messed up a big time. Host, Mr. John, may I know the reason behind this? He gulped yet continued. They need you to take Mayors. A whole lot of guards appeared on the stage, pointing their rifles against Jungkook. Yet, he stood there unwavering. An idiot could see the way. Ground shook underneath his angry straps. He marched over towards the stage. His eyes never moved off Vian. He was taken well care of, at least physically, to keep her beauty. She was as beautiful as Jungkook remembered. Jungkook, I'm taking her. Back off. Most. If you want her, you must buy her. Jungkook. Buy? There was silence. His head hung low, those menacing eyes hiding under the bangs. Red. He saw red. Jungkook. Or rather send you all to hell for trying to sell what's mine. Everyone held their breath, the guards, the host, the audience. Everyone visibly stepped back. If it was true, they were as good as dead. Host, I don't understand. Even if she was your woman, we own her now. Jungkook pointed his gun at him, and the guards immediately encircled him, showing their rifles against him. And why? Jungkook, own? I see. Everyone who had this delusion of owning my woman will meet you up soon. Lucky you. You're having an easy way out. Another bullet pierced through the air and landing right across the wide, fear filled eyes of the host. Another dead body laid cold on the floor, yet none of the armed army dared to touch or step against him. As soon as he shifted his eyes towards them, the effect was too crazy. The guns fell off their hands, and out of fear, they ran away, if they knew their own honors welcomed them. Jungkook was angry. Those emotions fell quite heavy on his shoulders. He could hardly stand on his feet. 5 years. They kept her 5 years, and God knows what kind of torture she faced there. What was he doing? Jungkook, Ryan, can you give me 5 minutes? She could hardly hear his voice. Jungkook, go with Carla. I'll catch you soon. Ryan, don't make me wait much. Carla wrapped a cloth around her and took her away. As soon as Ryan stepped out of the whole building, shut down. None of them had any weapons. No one was allowed to escape. Jungkook's army took over the place, taking everyone on gunpoint, waiting for his order. Jungkook, none of them step out of here alive. Keep the association alive. I am dealing with them myself. He left and the whole place turned into a living hell. There were screams, bullets, cries, blood everywhere. These people were not weak. They held their own power. None of them went down without a fight. Yet no one escaped. Did they think they could survive after betting on his woman with so called dirty imaginations of theirs? When he stepped out, he found Wine wrapped up in a shawl, standing near the car. She didn't make a move. All Wine could think was, Wine, are you disgusted of me? Jungkook, are you scared of me? She shook her head and Jungkook immediately took her in his embrace, his eyes closed. They were red, and after a lifetime, he felt like he could cry in that moment. Jungkook, they will pay. Each and every of them will pay for every single pain they inflicted upon you. That's Jungkook's promise to you. Slowly and eventually, as his body shook with rage, she melted in his arms and started crying. Vine only cried a month after entering that place. After that, she promised herself to never shed any tear. Only he could get those emotions out of her again. Once they reached home, Jungkook served her with hot chocolate. Vine took the longest bath of her life and changed up. She found her clothes, her shoes, everything that belonged to her still on its exact same place. That one book she left on the couch in lounge 5 years ago was still at its exact place. Vine, will you be fine with me? I might not be the same Vine you fell for. Jungkook, I might not be the same Jungkook you know either. But you know what? He took a seat beside her. Keeping his distance, he didn't know what might trigger her. He wanted her safety above everything else. Jungkook, I'm planning to heal you and make you fall for every version of me. I was yours, and it will always remain the same way. She looked down, unable to believe she was out of that hell. Vine, I saw Maya, the girl who came out before me. I met her after you sent me out with Carla. She told me you bought her. Were you the one getting those girls out of there? Most of the times, these people would go crazy because someone was saving girls. Jungkook, you didn't like them getting hurt. Wine held the cup tightly in her hands and her eyes stuck to the liquid inside of it. Slowly and eventually she sniffed and tears started rolling down her eyes. Wine, what took you so long? I've waited for you. The night worn off like this. She cried her heart out, and he stayed there beside her, at a distance, yet he was there, listening to her every cry which pierced his heart and drove him to revenge. For the next whole week, there were only one headline everywhere. The massacre that took place at the auction venue. The dead bodies that were found separately hung outside the venue of those who belonged to that association behind Vine's abduction. They were tortured in a way no human could ever comprehend. Half of their body parts were gone by the point they were found, hung in the air, yet they were alive. Every single of them was kept alive to feel the pain. One week had passed since he got Vine. He got other girls out of there as well. Vine received daily therapy classes in the morning. During day, a yoga instructor would visit her, and she started learning it. During evening, she usually liked to hide in bed and watch TV. While at night, she would finally open the door and let Jungkook in. They would sit, talk. No one would talk about what happened. Time to time, Jungkook made her believe, no matter what happened to her, he was never going to feel any disgust or hate towards her. Jungkook, about that, I always told you he would win the duel. And you didn't want to believe me? Currently, they were fighting over characters belonging to completely different enemies, trying to come up with who was stronger. Why? I'm still not believing you. Sasuke would win. Jungkook, yeah? And if he was up against me? All her rebellious power died, and her lips sealed. Jungkook chuckled. She looked too cute in that moment, he wanted to hug her. Yet, he kept her distance. Jungkook, this is your word. His powers wouldn't work here. In here, you're the most powerful to exist in Jungkook. She looked up at him. They were sitting on the floor against the bed at a few feet distance. Ryan, you don't have to keep your distance. Mia helps me with therapy. Lena helps me with yoga. But they're not you. None of them is the one I loved and waited for. I'm not scared of you. Jungkook took her in his embrace. His warm fingers trailed against her cheeks. His lips landed over hers. He was going to heal her. He meant those words. He was going to get her out of this room and bring her back to life. He was going to give her a new life where she would wear the crown of her scars, accepting every single of them and become his queen. Jungkook, I am going to make you my wife, and I am going to see who dare even look at you again. She cupped his cheeks and kissed his jaw. In that moment, as they bathed under the moonlight, Wine believed. The life she thought once ended, he gave it to her all over again. She believed. For as long as she had this man, nothing could ever touch her again.